Dog that you may remember well. This is Bowie. He's become a poster dog for animal abuse and neglect here in the Wichita area. Today, a Senate committee held an informational hearing on a bill in his name. Lane Alter tells you what it would do, new at 5.
Placed in a kennel, nearly starved to death, and left in the cold.
He was intentionally carried outside and placed next to a commercial trash dumpster in an apartment complex.
He's a dog you may be well familiar with, Bowie. The 2020 case in Wichita created a lot of uproar.
He absolutely would have died, which was supported by veterinary statements later on if he had not been found simply by coincidence.
The man convicted in the case sentenced to a misdemeanor. Under Bowie's law, that would change.
What this would essentially do is allow additional conduct to be considered a felony by adding a substate or subsection prohibiting maliciously abandoning any animal in any place without making provisions for its proper care and defining a violation of that statute as a non-person felony.
It's something the Wichita Animal Action League says is necessary.
Caging a dog without food and water and throwing that cage into a dumpster so that it could be crushed by a trash compactor at pickup, it's just as malicious and blameworthy as killing, injuring, maiming, torturing, burning, or mutilating any animal.
No action was taken on the bill Thursday. Bowie has since recovered and turned 6 last October. Lane Alter, 12 News.